I used to think that I was just lazy and awful at everything, but it turns out I just have ADHD. So like, I am all of those things, but it's not my fault. If you're like me, that means you're a chronic procrastinator. It doesn't matter how easy or simple a task is supposed to be. All of these things feel like such a huge chore, like you're climbing up a mountain that just goes on forever.
Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oh God! No!
And no one really understands, like your friends, your family, even just general society, like they think you're lazy. They don't have to climb Mount Everest every morning just to brush their teeth. It kind of comes automatically to them, and your brain is screaming at you. Why are you so lazy? And before you know it, hours have passed and you've done nothing. You know what? Screw this. I'm making a change. I'm locking in. This is it. I'm gonna change my life. And you really believe this too. Like you start feeling an intense amount of energy. Like you feel like a completely new person. And so you start mass consuming self-help content, searching advice on the internet, making impulsive Amazon purchases that you think are gonna make this easier for you. You make dozens and dozens of lists, and you come up with systems, with things that you're gonna implement that are going to change your life, make you into a completely new person. And then you wake up one day and you just completely forget about this plan. It is thrown out the window. It does not exist anymore. Suddenly, you spend the next 6 hours scrolling TikTok. Where did the time go? You wonder to yourself. You have this huge list of things that you were supposed to do, that you wanted to do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have written these lists in the first place. You wouldn't have come up with these systems, but you just can't seem to follow through. And so you give up. You start to feel anxious and depressed, and you ruminate about how awful and lazy you are. And people see you as inconsistent. You can't seem to remember dates and times or even people's names. You can go months without talking to anyone. And no matter what you do, you just can never feel a sense of relaxation. Sometimes you feel so productive, and other times you just feel lazy. And then you start getting these videos recommended to you on YouTube or TikTok or social media saying that you might have ADHD, and you start to think, this makes sense. I have never felt so understood. And you go to a doctor, and what do they tell you?
It's probably just anxiety.
We're gonna give you an antidepressant.
What?
And so it wasn't until after I had a therapist who had ADHD themselves that I was finally able to get diagnosed with ADHD after years and years of speculating and after being denied by doctors.
And I said, guess what? You're lazy, sweetie. There's your diagnosis.
And I didn't just have ADHD, I had pretty severe ADHD. I have the inattentive type, which basically just means I get distracted a lot. I'm pretty forgetful, and I struggle with doing things. And finally, after all these years, I had an answer. I knew definitively I had ADHD. It wasn't a moral failing on my character that I couldn't do the things that everyone else did. And it was because of that that I was finally able to take control of my life. Once I got diagnosed with ADHD, I finally understood that it wasn't my fault. And from there, I was able to make changes in my life. I was able to recognize that just because I couldn't stick to this plan, or just because I couldn't cross one or two things off my to-do list, did not mean that I was a failure. Finally being able to understand that, to understand how my brain actually works, has allowed me to make concessions with myself, allowing myself to have like treats sometimes, or like all the time, but in a healthy way, means that I can keep up my diet and in my fitness routine, because I know that there's a reward at the end of it. I can eat one cookie or maybe two instead of like 5. If you feel like you have ADHD, you feel like this is something that is impacting your day-to-day life, it is worth getting a second opinion. Even if a doctor denies you, if a therapist thinks, no, you do not have ADHD, because even professionals think that if you're not bouncing off the walls, hyperactive, you cannot possibly have ADHD. That is an insane misconception, because the truth is a lot of people with ADHD, especially the inattentive type, are high masking, which means that they have learned how to mask their symptoms. I procrastinated filming the entire lower half of this video because I went into it not even knowing what this video was going to be. I just threw it into my editing timeline. From that, I figured out what exactly I was trying to say. So just know that you are not alone in this. And if you relate to this video in any way, even if you are not diagnosed, know that it is not your fault. Your brain just works differently, and it is absolutely worth getting diagnosed just to have that mental clarity, just to know that this is what underlies your life. This is why you are the way that you are. Can drastically change and even improve your life if you are willing to work with your brain and understand how it actually works. If you guys would like more ADHD content, I don't think I really have anything up right now but this one, but I'm sure there'll be more. There'll be more right here, and you should definitely click that one, because I bet that one's really good, and I bet that one like follows up with this video.